Oh, welcome to a quick introduction into the Beaver Retopology and Retexturing add-on. Let's dive right in with this example scene that comes with Beaver, which is a great place to start experimenting. So let's focus on one of these rocks, and if we zoom in a little, we can see that both the texture and the model actually is quite high resolution. So we can also have a look at the wireframe, and we see that's a lot of polygons for a simple rock. So in quite a lot of cases, we want to reduce this number of polygons and probably also reduce the texture resolution. And that might be desired, for example, for games and so on. Now, personally, and I probably, and I believe that most artists would agree that the process of retopology is quite tedious and not very much fun, because you're basically trying to just recreate an object that already exists in just a lower resolution, trying to satisfy some technical constraints, and that's not really artistic and usually not that much fun. But that's where Beaver comes in. So let's have a look at this retopology panel here. So our goal is, say, for example, we want to create a low resolution version of this rock for, say, a game. So usually you want to choose an algorithm. Which one is best usually comes down to experimentation. So for example, we can try the standard algorithm and see that it switches to the solid view because it messes up the textures. So we can actually see what's happening in this view. So by experimenting with the different algorithms, I figured out that Octree works quite well, especially with the default resolution of 4. But you can try other versions of this. You can try different algorithms with different resolutions, whatever fits. And here on the top, we can see that currently we're, let's say we're looking at the triangles, we're at 812 triangles. So if you want to experiment here, you can simply change the values and click Retopologize again, and Beaver will just update the objects with the new values. So now let's say we're happy with our model and we're done with this part here. And now we want to do some optimizations to further decrease the resolution, because some parts here are still quite detailed and might not be really desirable for a game, so can save some performance here. So it's always a good idea to simply click the button and see what the result looks like, and then iterate from there. So here are 3 options interesting. Force ratio tries to force a specific percentage of vertices compared to the original model. This is not quite exact, so you want to experiment with this. So for example, we can try bringing it down to 0.44, and yeah, say we're happier with this result and stick with this. Next option is symmetry, and you can, if you have a symmetrical object, you can try to force symmetry along a specific axis, but this doesn't make sense in this case, so we'll leave it unchecked. Now collapse planar tries to remove triangles by figuring out which surfaces are almost flat, therefore don't need the resolution. So if you lower this, you get more of the original details back. If you increase this number, then you'll have more flat surfaces. And I think something about 15 degrees works quite well. And lastly, we have collapse details, which looks at the distances between different vertices, and everything below 0.05 will be collapsed. So you can also use this to make some more drastic adjustments. And again, experimenting with this number and what you like and what looks good is always the way to go. So now we're down to 258 triangles, which is pretty good, I'd say. So we click apply, and now we're working with this freshly retopologized rock here. So the next step would be to transfer the textures from the original rock, which is rock 1, to our new object here we just got. And usually these are automatically selected, so you don't need to change them, but technically if you want to just use Beaver for baking textures, then you can set these manually. Just make sure that they are in the same place, so these lie inside of each other, and that's this art. Now one thing Beaver can spare you is manually creating UVs. And you can do this by choosing Smart UVs, and if your object looks like a box or sphere, you'd choose either one of those. Or you can choose Auto, which tries to automatically figure out the UVs for some more complicated objects. Then resolution speaks for itself. In this case, we get a result of 256 by 256 pixels, and every time we increase this here, this doubles, so you're probably familiar with this. The most, not necessarily difficult, but tricky thing to set is deviance, which basically describes how similar the new object is to the old one. So if they are basically both the same, you want to probably choose 0, and the more dissimilar they are, you want to increase this number. Usually I'd recommend just sticking with 0.10, which works fine for most simpler objects. And if you have something more complicated where the textures don't look as expected, you can actually increase this and simply try again and iterate. So here you can choose what kind of texture you want. In this case, I want to simply compute all of them and have a look at them. And let's click bake. So this will take a couple of seconds. My computer's pretty old, so yours will do this much faster, but this of course depends on the resolution you choose and which of these are selected. So you can see that Beaver automatically sets up a preview material and shows you what the rock looks like. Since this is just a preview, the rock looks pretty kind of wet. So this is actually because Beaver doesn't know what type of object you're dealing with and just tries to show you what the textures look like. And again, Beaver allows you to simply change the values here. So for example, we want a higher resolution color image, and let's say we're not worrying about the others right now, and we can simply click bake again. And once it's done, it sets up a preview material with just this color texture. And we can see we got a way higher resolution, and of course we can go in either, that's the wrong button, we can go in either direction and it will update it each time. And yes, so that's the usual workflow and how Beaver works. Hope you can come up with something, come up with a useful use case for Beaver and save a lot of time and actually focus on what you want to do. So thanks for checking it out and see you.